Rebuilding a Parker Tornado Crossbow and Grim Reaper Arrow Points. William Hovey Smith, 2015. I'm the author of Crossbow Hunting, and the Parker has been one of my favorite crossbows. And here is a photo of a black bear that I took on an Idaho hunt. This is Hovey Smith, the Backyard Sportsman. Well, I'm the author of the book Crossbow Hunting, and so we hunt with crossbows. And over the years, I've received and hunted with quite a few of them. Now, one of my favorites is the Parker Tornado, which is still in production, by the way, in the F4 variant. This is an earlier model. On the newer ones, they have split limbs instead of single limbs like this. Nonetheless, this is a very excellent crossbow. However, last year I screwed up. I attempted to unload the crossbow and my arrow was not seated all the way back on the deck, and I blew up the limbs. As it turned out, I was not the only one that had this problem, and Parker now recommends the exclusive use of capture nocks with this particular crossbow. So this year, I called Parker and say, hey guys, you know, I sort of messed up and I'm afraid I blew up your crossbow limbs. It's one of my favorite crossbows, and would you please replace them? And they said, yeah, we'll be happy to. And while we got it, we'll go ahead and restring it and recable it for $56. So I very happily packaged it up and sent back to them. And within 12 days, I had this complete unit back. So we're now about to put the whole thing back together again and sight it in, and also get my arrows and points ready for the new season. Now, this crossbow has already killed 2 deer and 1 black bear. These are 5 of the original 6 arrows that I had. And the other one is, I'm afraid, damaged beyond use, and you'll see how and why in a little bit when we talk about putting points on them. But now, the issue is reassembling this crossbow. Now, when you send a crossbow in, if you only have front end damage, that's all you really need to send in, is this part I've got my hands on right now. They don't really need the rest of the bow. The telephone number, website, and shipping addresses are on the end of this video. Okay, so you see I have the front end, this slide, and I'm going to show you where that one goes. And I retained all my connection screws here and put them in a little plastic bag in a safe place so I wouldn't lose them in the meantime. So now my only challenge is to figure out which screws go where, because I disassembled this thing months and months ago. Okay, so we have our crossbow body here, and we proceed to slowly work this thing in. This goes into the rail there. The string, it slid up over the top. There we go. Now we got it going. These 2 pieces here slide into the corresponding cuts in the barrel. Come on. There we go. Looking something like a crossbow now. We have to line it up, however. It's a little bit cocked. Okay, and it's under some spring tension. So I'm going to have to put a little force on this to actually line it up. I had to put this down on the carpet so I could get some force on it in 2 directions to line up that screw correctly. And I want to check and make sure that the other one is good too. Okay, I've got this one started now. We'll put one on this corner. It's going in easy and straight. Okay, that one's not showing any strain. That one went straight in. Okay, good. We are getting lined up then. This one. If this acted like it was going to be cross-threaded, then I would go ahead and take everything down and do it all over again. The thing about this is you're setting steel screws into aluminum. So you've got to make sure they go straight. All right. So we now have the front end on, and all we have to do is to now do the relatively simple thing of attaching this weaver rail so we can put the quiver on. Now see, we have an extra part. The cable slide. They sent one with the front end assembly, and I had retained that. Tighten up. Each year for each hunt, I need to decide on what points I'm going to use on which crossbow and for what game. My game is mostly fairly small deer and wild hogs. I don't really shoot many huge heavy beasties. Consequently, I want to inflict a massive wound, typically in very heavy color. If I can get the animal to bleed out faster, I want it to do that. Usually long shots are not particularly desired, and I often don't take them because I just don't have them. I can't see that far. In my cover, if I can see 40 yards, I'm doing pretty good. Consequently, I particularly like these Grim Reaper heads because of the very long cutting arms. Yeah, you pass one of these through a critter and it's going to know about it. Now, this is not ideal for all situations. It does, as I say, fit my lightweight animals very, very well. However, they may not be used in all cases. This bear, for example, was shot in Idaho. I could not use mechanical heads in Idaho, so I had to quickly go by a local shop and buy these, which, as you see, worked very well. One shot, one very dead bear, and one very dead bear in a hurry. This was not exactly the shot I was aiming for, however. It actually was deflected by a small branch, and by luck and happenstance, I killed it. Look, so this is not an example of great skill. This is an example of an accidental happening that was fortuitous. The arrow could have equally gone in a bad place and been a stomach hit and a long, long, grueling trail through mountainous terrain. As it turned out, the hunting gods happened to smile on me that day, but it will not always be so. I'm going to bring up the camera so you can see the details of me putting together and reconditioning these rather complex heads. The Grim Reaper points are a multi-component system, and over the years different things have been added to different points. They come in various sizes. This is the one with the extra long cutting limbs on them, and for the reasons I just described, I want to use them. This is how they typically come. You get a package like this of 3 points, and what they consist of is you have some sort of cutting point here It could be detachable like this is. It could be a trocar point like these. And so you choose these depending on what you want to do. Since I want to cut basically soft tissue and small animals, I'm going to choose these this year. So I want all my points to have these. I want to use the long limbs, so therefore I want to use the long shafted points rather than the shorter ones like here. Okay? Then these fit on a ring, and that's what allows them to pivot like yay, and in flight positions they're closed. There is behind this a very small thin steel ring, this one. Okay. Then you have a spring. Then you have a base. And if you want to add more weight, they do have a heavier base. And then this, of course, screws into the arrow shaft itself. Now, all of these points are replaceable, and all the components are salvageable, although you may not want to if they get beat up real bad. This allows you to unscrew the tips like this for removal, cleaning, or replacement. And I attempt to salvage my arrows, or at least the useful components of them. Now these have actually been through animals. And so they were pretty badly nicked up. The point here, the extra cutting wings, these are pretty battered. The cutting limbs here itself, there's some nicks on them like you see here and on various others. Nonetheless, the shaft is okay and the smaller components are okay. So if you wished, you could use the same shaft and replace the limbs and have an equally good arrow as you ever did. And so that's what I usually do, and I'm doing now. To start with, all right, we've got our main components mounted up here. They all have the same points. Now, they all have the same length limbs, and they're all on the same size shafts. Okay, all that's good. My little steel retaining ring here, the small one, is on this one, as is the spring. My steel retaining ring is on this one, but it needs a spring. Okay, got a spring now. Poof. My steel retaining one is on this one, and it has its spring attached. All right. These bases have cuts in them, and the cuts go actually opposite the limbs. So the limbs fit into the cuts, like that. And of course, if these go through animals, yeah, they're all cleaned and washed and resharpened if the cutting limbs are not too badly beat up. All right. So I have 3 points now ready to go, except I need 3 little pieces of rubber here. These go right on the back. Now these get screwed onto the arrow shaft itself. And this fits up against spring pressure like this. But before I do that, I'm going to weigh them out, just to make sure. Okay, 105 grains. 104 grains. Check the function of the limbs. Yeah, they should sort of click as they come back together. All right, now that's how the arrow looks before it's launched. Yeah, now they're all lined up well. I did not like the way those rubber gaskets fit, so I'm going to go ahead and replace them with these that are stouter. We now have the Parker Tornado ready to go for Georgia's archery season. All I need to do now is put some wax on here, a little lube on the outside, oil a few spots. We have our quiver attached, we have our arrows in there. We'll be taking 3 with our good points on them. I have a shaft here for practice and unloading. And then this is a spare shaft with a matching point. So we're all ready to go. But now, this is Hovey Smith, reminding you to hunt what you eat and eat what you hunt. Be legal, be ethical, be safe. Goodbye, God bless, and see you next time. Besides crossbow hunting, which is exclusively about crossbows, I also have considerable about them in practical bow fishing and also backyard deer hunting. I'll have a new series of business books in the Profit series, the first of which are ideas for new businesses. And here is a little blurb about that and also about me. Now, if you need service on your Parker crossbows, here is the information for it. For more information on my books, blogs, and videos, go to my website, www.hoveysmith.com. Good hunting and good eating from the outdoors. Goodbye, and God bless.